Ay, yo, yeah, that's B-Eazy, that's the name. Way before the world knew he was running the game. Laid the groundwork, built the foundation strong. Been influencing the whole scene all along. Now everybody gotta give that man his praise. A living legend for the rest of his days. Oh, he deserves all the accolades, yeah. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, gotta give that man his praise. A living legend for the rest of his days. Oh, he deserves all the accolades. B-Eazy, B-Eazy.
Yeah, yeah. Listen up. It's B-Eazy Dat Dude, the great. He ain't fake, he one of the real guys. Spitting fire every stream. You've been late to the party, now it's time to realize. From Pittsburgh to around the world, yeah, the flow is elite. Every beat that he slide on turns into straight heat. Came up from the grind, selling box on a laptop, running up a bag, feel like he hit the jackpot. Got the luxury visions, ambition vivid, never bluff. Persons progress, persevere when the going gets tough. B-Eazy Dat Dude, got stripes in the game. Every rhyme, every line, they gon' remember the name. From the streets to the stage, the energy don't fade. Legend in the making, yeah, history's what he's laid. Mic in his hand, heart in the flow and soul on every beat. Dropping knowledge, power, bravado, his legacy complete. Hustle, amplified, lyrics electrified, that's the truth. B-Eazy Dat Dude, established with certified proof. Feel the bass, feel the vibe, let it ride through the crowd. All the words, every hook, man, he keeps making us proud. King of his lane, rising above every feud. All hail the one and only, one and only, one and only. B-Eazy Dat Dude. Yeah. Yeah.
He always do it big, you know who it is. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, B-Eazy Dat Dude. He on his way to the top and he ain't about to stop. You thought he would flop and didn't wanna give him props. The things you dreaming about he already did do. Now it's time to soak a game, he about to give you. Like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to tune in when he goes live. Make a contribution if you feeling the content. Tap into the realness if you tired of the nonsense. I mean, no disrespect, ain't trying to sound rude, but the world already knows that B-Eazy's that dude. Ooh.
We all here to see B-Eazy. We wanna listen to B-Eazy. Ayo, who is that dude? Oh girl, that's just B-Eazy. Oh boy, that's just B-Eazy. Well, who is B-Eazy? Oh, you ain't know, he been a pro for show, all about the dough. He been running up them racks and still trying to get some more. Don't care about the fame, just trying to gain and grow. He really one of them ones, his presence so pivotal. So hell yeah, he that dude, this is unequivocal.
This is, y'all know who this is. B-Eazy Dat Dude, and you come to stream with another one. This one is gonna be about controversial topics, so it will be a doozy. I don't like to keep y'all waiting, so before we get this thing started, you know, I gotta,
If you know the song, sing along. Yeah, you're right.
私も地元民。と言っても、実は
さすがです。もう友達できたの？
うん。ぶったまんまこっち見ろ。
Look, this promethazine got me leaning like a cholo in the club. I'm 20 deep. I don't be riding solo. Pull some bad bitches, they vanilla and cocoa. They wanna take some photos when we kick it out in Soho. Chicks are showing tits and popping pussy for my promo. Told them like juvenile, baby, move it for me slow mo. Then I'm right back to the block, cause I keep getting moto. I be flipping, not shrinking. I don't give a fuck about no This nigga name ain't D-Lo, but pimpin' these bitches and stacking this bread forever be my stilo. This is B-Eazy Dat Dude in the trap making pass smooth. If I ever go broke, then I'm about to pull a jack move. Since a nigga healthy, I don't even gotta worry. With my bitch from Fiji, eating tandoori and chicken curry. That ism is really in me. My pimp game international. I design my own clothes, so I be always looking fashionable. Here's a couple facts about me that y'all didn't know. Some of y'all be getting bread, but I be getting bigger, dawg. I got bigger guns and a whole lot of better.
All activated, and we've already been joined by some illustrious guests. Yeah, audio check. Y'all let me know in the chat. Everybody, Big O, let me know. Could you hear me? Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me before I proceed. Because, you know, I'm about to cook. I got the chef's hat and the apron on right now. So before I proceed, y'all let me know. If y'all hear me, all I need is just one person in the chat to let me know if y'all hear me. Drop a 1, a thumbs up. Okay, hold on. You said it sounds muffled. Okay, give me 1 moment. Okay, what about now? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Damn, it still sounds muffled. What the hell? All right, hold on. Give me 1 second. I don't know what's going on with the audio. Oh, you know what? I know what happened. Give me 1 second. It's hooked up to my camera, so it's picking up the camera audio. That's what it is. My bad. Give me 1 second. So actually, while I unhook the camera, let me hit y'all with the video. Okay. Give me like 40 seconds.
B-Eazy, B-Eazy, he is that dude. Ooh, he is that dude. That dude, B-Eazy, he is the one that you can call so he can get the job done. He about to reign supreme if you thought his run would soon end. He just getting started though, so go ahead and tune in. B-Eazy, B-Eazy, he is that dude. Ooh, 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 he is that dude.
Okay, so it should be better because it was hooked up to my camera. So let me know. Mic check. So yeah, y'all let me know how I sound. Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah. What happened was I had hooked up my USB camera. So yeah, my apologies. So hold on, man. I gotta, give your apologies. So hold on. Just give me 1 second.
Talo.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry. So I had the USB hooked up. So give me one moment too. Yeah, I had the USB mic hooked up, and then for some reason it was picking up from that mic versus this microphone. So, but like I said, I've already been joined by some illustrious guests, so I couldn't even give y'all the proper introduction. So I'm gonna get right into it though. But let me give a shout out to Big O. Slid through. Also, we got Sunlight from the Sunshine State, shining brighter than a diamond. Florida in the house, and we got Frank Nitty. Frank Nitty, where you at, Frank Nitty? Are you out in Cali? You in the Bay? What state you in, Frank? So we got Frank Nitty coming in, looking extra gritty. So let's just get right into this thing. So my apologies. I'm kind of bummed about the audio. I didn't even know that when I first came on, it was extra muffled. So, you know, I didn't mean to do that to y'all ears like that. But let me get into this video. So just in case y'all don't know, there's this story. You from NY, but you in Cali. Got you. Okay. Salute to NY. And but actually, before I pull this up, let's get into this story. Let me pull this screen up. Hold up. Shout out to Big O. Oh, and let me pull this other banner down. This one will be a interesting stream tonight. So I'm going to make it bigger just so y'all can see. And this is going to be in the theme of no lacking, right? If any of you guys are boxing fans, you know that the number one rule is to protect yourself at all times. Many people have families. So not only do you have a family to protect, you know, self-preservation. You need to protect yourself so that you're here and able-bodied and able to protect your family. So this story that I'm going to get into is a father in Garland, Texas. He had to boom bap a dude and get him up out of here, right? Because he attempted to carjack his vehicle with his family inside. That sounds extremely terrifying. So this happened a couple days ago on May 3rd. So he was confronted by a man attempting to forcibly steal his car with 8 family members, including his children inside. So you're not just fearing for your life, you're fearing for your family's life, including women and children. The suspect was later identified as 30-year-old Jose Ramirez. He had crashed the green vehicle into 2 other cars and then tried to enter multiple vehicles in a nearby parking lot. So apparently he was running around, and I'm going to get into the news story. This is just the incident overview and a prelude to the content and the discussion, right? So the confrontation as the suspect approached the family's white Chevrolet Impala, a struggle ensued between the father and Ramirez. Surveillance footage shows that the father stepped out of the vehicle, attempted to prevent the suspect from driving away while the family evacuated the car. Now, he was trying to steal the car with his family still in there. So as he's trying to steal the car, many of his family members were evacuating, and the father is fighting off this deranged carjacker. Now, I don't know if he was just trying to jack the car because, hey, he saw a nice ride. Maybe he wanted to traffic the people. Maybe he was just fleeing the scene because they said he hit 2 other vehicles. We don't know. It's all speculation now. He's not here to answer these questions. So after nearly a minute of a physical struggle, now that's a long time in a street fight. A lot could happen in 1 minute in a street fight. How long does it take for someone to swipe you with a blade? How long does it take for someone to pull a trigger, to throw a rock, to spray something, to hit you in the nuts, to eye gouge you, to pull your hair, to headbutt you?
Don't take a minute to do that. So a minute in a street fight could seem like a lifetime. And even if you win in a fight in a minute, if somebody's able to dance around for 2 minutes and you get tired, you might get knocked out. You was winning the first minute, but now the fight is 5 minutes. And now, you didn't have the stamina. So hold on. Ramirez was unarmed. So hold on. After nearly a minute of the physical struggle, the father, standing near the passenger side, discharged a firearm, fatally wounding Ramirez. So Ramirez, he's gone. He is no longer with us. So this is the safety in the legal context. Ramirez was unarmed, but law enforcement noted that he was using force to attempt the carjacking, and the father could not reasonably know the suspect's status. Garland police does not expect to file charges, stating that the incident appears to meet the criteria for lawful defense under Texas law, including stand your ground and castle doctrine provisions. All family members, including children, escaped without injuries. Thank goodness. Hallelujah. Witnesses noted the suspect's erratic behavior, emphasizing that the father acted to protect his loved ones. Yes, that's how you protect your family, right? I mean, what was he supposed to do? Just let the dude carjack the car, take his car with family members inside? We don't know what he would have done. If that dude was able to drive off with his family members and his kids, we don't know what. Would he have unalived those kids? Would he have touched those kids? Would he have sold those kids? Would he have pulled over at the nearest rest stop and thrown the kids out? We don't know. And unfortunately, F around and find out. Fafo, you play stupid games and you won the stupidest prize. Unfortunately, I'm not advocating for violence, but I do advocate for self-defense by any means necessary. So the broader context, this incident underscores the legal framework in Texas allowing adults to use deadly force to prevent imminent harm, particularly in scenarios involving potential kidnapping or violent theft. So all you got to do is fear imminent harm. Doesn't mean you have to truly fear for your life. Now, if you fear for your life and they say facts over feelings, well, not in places like Texas. Based on your feelings, you can unalive somebody. I felt he was gonna, but in this situation, this was a legitimate fear, right? You have some deranged person who's just crashed into multiple other cars. He's just tried to steal and carjack other cars. And now he's trying to carjack a car with human beings in there, women and children. Yeah, that does sound like a fearful situation. And the father acted accordingly, right? So this case has drawn both local and national attention, which is why I'm covering it. And I'm in California. Now, the cold part about this is that if you had did this same thing in California, you probably would be going down. As much as they try to talk about California, California, they just let anybody out. Yeah, they might let a shoplifter out and people will try to make it seem like that's the worst thing in the world because someone was homeless and then they locked the homeless dude up. But in terms of violent crime, I mean, California locks a lot of people up. The reason why their prisons are overrun is because they got so many people that haven't done violent crimes in there. But if you did the same thing in California, you might be going down with the Erder case. Put the M in front. Yikes. Talk about self-defense. But hold on, let me go ahead and I'm gonna pull the story up for y'all. Give me uno momento. But it looks like we've been joined by some illustrious guests. And Frank Nitty says facts. Frank Nitty, you from New York. It's the same thing in New York. They have all of these tough on crime things, but if somebody is going to rob your family, they're telling you, imagine this situation. If this dude didn't have a firearm, not only would his car have been jacked, but hey, you can get other cars, but his car would have been jacked with women and children inside. We don't know what this sick, deranged man had planned for his kids. We don't know. He had already crashed into 2 cars. So what if he would have crashed into another car with the dude's kids inside? So like I said, I'm not an advocate for violence. I'm not an advocate for, unalivings. But in this situation, the dude had to protect his family. He feared for his life, the life of his 8 other family members, and he feared for imminent harm. And based on Texas law, it permits him to act accordingly. So I don't think this was malicious. Some people are mad and think that, why didn't he call the cops? But imagine this, if he didn't pull out the firearm, what else was he supposed to pull out? Hey, help, someone help. Like, come on. What were other people going to do? They were going to run over there. By the time they got over there, what were they going to do? The dude could have already drove off. What, he was supposed to let the dude drive off and then call the cops? Yes, I want to report a kidnapping. I was right here with a firearm and I just let him drive off, man. Could you catch it? Like, come on, bruh. And now you got to hope that the cops find him and do a high speed. No. You play a stupid game, you win a stupid prize. You're trying to jack the car with your wife, your mother in there with a bunch of kids. He had 8 family members with him. And I'm supposed to just let a dude jack my car? No, bruh. Boom, bap, and hope you go to the upper room. Am I supposed to feel sorry about that? No. How else was he? They were fighting for a minute. A minute is a long time. It doesn't take you a minute to pull the trigger. So prior to him pulling the trigger, he tried to fight the dude off. Maybe the dude maybe he has some jujitsu training. All I know is I don't care if you bench press 100 pounds. I don't care if you bench press 300 pounds. You try to carjack me, especially with my family. Boom, bap. Flatline. I'm just saying. And we've been joined by the marvelous My Boo. What it do in building. She says, what's good with you? Well, I'm just over here trying to cook. I'm trying to cook like you be cooking on your channel. My Boo be over there cooking it up. You feel me? I still gotta holler at my for a plate, maybe some snacks on the side. You feel me? But salute to my. And then it looks like we've also been joined by last call, Mr. Midnight Soul himself, reporting from an undisclosed location in Northern America. What it do? Yeah, like Frank says, 1 minute is a long time in a fight. How long does it take for someone to headbutt you? If you get on the ground, how long does it take for 2 other dudes to start kicking you? Imagine you was on the ground getting stomped for 1 minute. Imagine they say, okay, cool. You got to get jumped in by 10 of our hardest hitters for 1 minute, and they just socking you in the jaw. That's a lot that can happen. If somebody is stabbing you, it doesn't take 1 minute for someone to stab you. For someone to pepper spray in your face, that doesn't take 1 minute. All of these things happen in street fights. When you saw the movie Friday and Craig picked up that brick and threw it at Debo, did it take him 1 minute to throw that brick? Did it take him 1 minute to swing that brick? So I'm just saying. So let's get into it. And shout out to my because I do need that plate and snack. Actually, I need the whole course. You know what I mean? Full course, because we got to bring that back. I know people talk about trad this and trad that. What happened to full course? So I need the appetizers, right? Then I need the bread, the salad, the main entree and dessert, you know what I mean? And then a midnight snack. Could we bring the midnight snacks back? We got to do the full course. Appetizer, breads and salads, main entree, dessert, and the midnight snack. Could we bring that back? If anyone can, the marvelous my. Hey, I appreciate that. You're speaking my language. I salute to my. I appreciate you. And we've been joined by the hardest working mod on YouTube, Vibrant Law, in building. And, you know, if you are feeling generous, you can hit your boy on the Cash App. Or if you're unable or unwilling, it won't cost you a fee. The likes are free. Let's get back into this thing, though. So I'm going to pull up the screen. I gave y'all a prelude to the discussion, and we're going to pull up the video, and let's watch this in more vivid detail.
66 and Dairy Road. Police say the man had tried to steal several vehicles by force before trying this one. He was taken to a hospital and pronounced dead. Fox 4's David Sintendry has more from the investigation. David.
Yikes. And just so y'all know, I will have to pull it down like this, but then I can just pull it back up just to make the video transformative and to give my commentary. But y'all saw bro was in the car. You know, that seemed like a bit of a tussle. Mind you, his kids are in the car. So I'm gonna play this one more time on mute right here. Okay, so you saw the dude walk up, and then it looked like he raised something. He raised his fist like he was finna hit him. Like, come on. And dude, he hopped out with the blammer. You feel me? Dude hopped out with the blammer because he like, bruh, what are you doing? Chill. You know what I mean? So this does seem like a fearful situation. You have to imagine he's in the car with women and children who can't defend themselves. This is their sole protector and provider. And we got this deranged man just walking up. And that's why I always tell people, if you're disabled, you should practice your Second Amendment right. If you're a woman, you know, like, because let's just say this was a woman, right? The best way for her to protect herself would have been with a legal firearm. Many of you don't have a record, so why don't you? You know what I mean? And fine, if you don't want to do the firearm, get you a taser, get you some pepper spray, a stun gun, something so that you can equalize, you know, the battlefield, you know. And I'm not trying to promote the violence, but, you know, unfortunately, where there's people, there will be crime, there will be mayhem. And once the mayhem ensues, in this situation, when this dude's walking up, do you think you have time to call 911 and then, yes, he's attacking me. Okay. And they're like, could you describe him? Oh, he's punching me right now. Oh, he has a pink shirt. Okay. And you're supposed to be talking to the cops while he's punching you, while he's trying to steal your car, while he may or may not have a weapon. I don't know. I have to assume the worst. You know what I mean? So just like the cops do, the cops don't come and assume the best. They assume the worst thing, because cops have dogs, they have drones, they have backup, they have battering rams, they have bulletproof tanks. In every situation, they're always saying they fear for their life. You don't even have a firearm, but you like, oh nope, I don't fear for my life. The people with firearms and training to unalive people, they're saying, yep, I do fear for my life. You who physically can't fight, haven't been in a fight since probably elementary, have no firearms, have no self-defense weapons. Nope, you don't fear for your life. But then these be the same people whining about crime. You know, you must not be too scared about crime. Why are you talking about crime so much? But yeah, you ain't trying to strap up. If crime is that bad, why aren't you strapped? Why aren't you practicing your Second Amendment? Make it make sense. Let's get back into it, though.
66 and Dairy Road. Police say the man had tried to steal several vehicles by force before trying this one. He was taken to a hospital and pronounced dead. Fox 4's David Sintendry has more from the investigation. David.
Well, a majority of family members were inside that vehicle as the carjacker tried to take off with it. The father of that family shot and killed the suspect, and it was all captured on video.
You could definitely tell that he was not in his right state of mind.
Surveillance video shows a man attacking and trying to carjack a family of 8 in Garland Sunday afternoon before the father shoots and kills him.
I'm just glad that the man was able to protect himself and his family.
Tatiana Starks manages Garland Smoke and Vape in a shopping center near Highway 66.
And salute to that sister. I'm just happy that bro was able to protect his family. That sounds like a scary situation, you know. And good thing it happened in Texas, because if it was out here, we don't know what would have happened. You know, they probably would have been trying to get him, you know, for murder in the first. But we've been joined by the illustrious Tay-Bay in the building. Salute to Tay-Bay.
Sunday afternoon before the father shoots and kills him.
I'm just glad that the man was able to protect himself and his family.
Tatiana Starks manages Garland Smoke and Vape in a shopping center near Highway 66.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, looks like I was muted. Thank y'all for telling me that. So Frank Nitty, when you say it looked like a brother too, like who looked like a brother? Are you talking about the dude who robbed? The dude who attempted to carjack? Are you saying he looked like a brother? Because it wasn't a brother. It was some dude named Jose Ramirez. Not that it matters, because I'm going to be clear. When my life is on the line and I have to protect my family, if it was Jorge Ramirez, boom, bap, you up out of here. If it was Jamal Robinson, boom, bap, you out of here. If it was Jet Li, Bruce Lee, Ski Wee, boom, bap, and you're out of here, buddy. So I don't know what you mean by you saying it looked like a brother too. The person who was fighting off the and I don't know if this dude was a undocumented immigrant. I don't know what he was. They just said his name was Jose Ramirez, and that's it, you know. So let me run that back so you can see. It wasn't a brother. I don't know who you said. You said, no, the person who protected his family. If he was in Cali, they would have hung him in court. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you. In Cali, yeah, they want you to call the cops. Like if someone breaks in your house, they want you to have a gun in the safe. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. I know that you just, you know, are threatening to go in my daughter's room and do ungodly things. But do you mind if I punch in my 4-digit code to get my firearm out of my safe so I can protect my family? Like, come on, man. No, I'm going to have my thing right by my side. So when somebody comes in, they get hit with the blammer. They get hit with the blicky. But in Cali, that situation gets sticky and they try to say, well, did you really have to shoot them? You could have called the cops. No, I couldn't. And Big O said, Cali like that? Yeah, it is. A lot of these blue states are like that. These are the same ones because they talk about this whole tough on crime thing. So they criminalize every little thing so that since everything's a crime, they always have bodies to throw in there. But at the same time, they talk about crime. Oh, these neighborhoods are so violent. So, okay, fine. You don't want me to live in your neighborhood. This is what a NIMBY is, right? Not in my backyard. You don't want me to live in your neighborhood. Okay, fine. I live in the hood, the notorious hood that you whine about. What about Chicago, right? Okay, fine. I live in Chicago. I live in Chirac. And then what the Democrats want to do is they want to take your guns away and just say, okay, fine, walk through this notorious neighborhood that we don't want to live in. We don't want to do anything about the dilapidated buildings. We don't want to do anything about the gangs or the crime or anything. All we want to do is say vote blue no matter who, right? Nah, y'all should be the ones champion gun control, right? If I'm going to have to walk through the notorious streets of St. Louis, Baltimore, and all this stuff, By the time somebody try to rob me and jack me, there's no cell phone that can get you help, right? You screaming, they're after me. That's not going to stop you from getting forcibly penetrated, from someone stabbing you. But what will is if you had a legal firearm to match fire with fire. Someone has a firearm and they want you to match firearm with the cell phone, right? Somebody pulls out a Draco and you like, here, I'm going to call 911. No, somebody pulls out a Draco, but I see that Draco is bulging. And as they're reaching for it, boom, bap. You know what I mean? And you lucky if I kneecapped you, you know what I mean? But, I might one up top you, you know what I mean? Who knows? All I know is I have the right to defend myself. And you should be thanking me, because if that, y'all consider these people the scourge of the earth anyways, and they are causing mayhem to our communities, right? So no, this ain't no black on black crime. This is self-defense, you know what I mean? And I'll defend against black, white, yellow, blue, purple, anything. Why aren't the Democrats pushing that message, right? For people to defend themselves with legal firearms. All of these Democrats, they have firearms. What did Kamala Harris say? If you come in my house, you getting shot. But Kamala Harris still wants to be tough on crime and try to lock people up because they're running around with firearms. And then they want to talk more about gun control rather than responsible gun ownership. They already have these background checks. They already have red flag laws, and they try to frame everything as it's a gun issue. It's a gun issue. No, when a white supremacist goes and shoots up a black church, that's not a gun issue. You know what I mean? Right? And then if we already know that these gangs have guns, why shouldn't Big Mama have a gun? Like, for reals, right? If it was some crusty, musty, dusty nigga terrorizing the hood, but you knew grandma didn't want to leave the hood, and grandma said, baby, I've been here for 50 years. I ain't never leaving, right? Grandma don't want to leave. And if grandma want to walk down the street and she say that, hey, she want to have that thing on her, like, why shouldn't grandma have that? It's within her legal rights. But then you want to promote that, no, she shouldn't have to have that. Okay, cool. Then how is she going to protect herself? By just calling the cops. By the time the cops get there, which many times they come sometimes an hour later, what do you think's going to happen to grandma or any other vulnerable person in there? So yeah, we should be promoting more of the 2A stuff, especially if you want to clean it up. Y'all talking about that YNs running rapping. You ain't going, hey, I'm sorry, bruh. Some of y'all gonna have to go. You know what I mean? Not because you need to go. It's just because, unfortunately, many of you guys are lost causes. You know what I mean? You don't need to be that, but some of you guys are. And, it's just going to take some waking up. When you think about the deacons of defense, you think the deacons of defense would have let some YNs run around terrorizing the communities? No, the deacons of defense were strong men with wives who were principled men who had conservative values, not in the sense of conservatism. Now I'm talking about a collective mindset, right? You think the deacons of defense would just be letting gangs and miscreants run around the community? No. So if these niggas is running around, yeah, I'm a YN, I'm a slide on an op, they have to have someone that's going to contend with that firepower. You're not going to be able to read some scriptures. You're not going to be able to shame those people. You're not going to be able to whisper Negro spirituals and think you're going to contain that issue. And you can keep calling the cops and all this stuff to lock them up, but you can't lock everybody up. Eventually, they're going to let those people out because they want the crime to persist. Because when the crime drops, crime is at historic low levels. And they still, every year, they whine about crime. What about Chicago? It's like, I thought y'all cleaned up Chicago. No, we just can't figure it out. They can figure out how to get to the moon, but they can't figure out how to clean up a crime-infested area. Like, make it make sense. All these areas need is economic investment. Most crime is economic. People are committing crime not because they just inherently love doing crime. They're committing crime because there's sayings, colloquially, crime pays. So if crime pays, of course, that's what people are going to gravitate to. if they don't have opportunities. Then they say, okay, well, we don't want to fund the schools, but you'll complain about how the school is failing, right? And even when they fund the school, there's anti-blackness and mismanagement of funds. Lock those people up. Those people that are mismanaging funds for kids, lock them up. But people are not talking about that. Lock up some poor black kid who sold an eighth of weed, but don't lock up the kids who've misallocated billions with the school board. Look at Cali and Gavin Newsom. It was supposed to be like 24 billion allocated towards homelessness. No one knows where it went. And then they start talking about some other nothing issue. They bring up trans and you start arguing over some cultural issue, but still no one could say where that 24 billion went. You can't blame it on black people. You can't blame it on George Floyd, BLM, Chicago, and Oakland, right? Drive-bys and fatherless homes. Was it people in fatherless homes that screwed over California, right? Does anyone believe that it was someone with a fatherless home that screwed over $24 billion in taxpayer dollars? Now, what is worse, right? They've convinced you that some nigga in the hood that sold an ounce of weed that's legal now in most places. He sold an ounce of weed 10 years ago in a state that was tough on crime. So now he's a felon for life. That dude is horrible because he's labeled a felon for selling weed that most white people are known for growing and selling at mass, right? That person is horrible, but suddenly the white politicians, the non-black politicians who screwed over taxpayers for over 24 billion, lying and gaslighting on homelessness, right? No one wants to know whose culture that is. No one wants to know who raised those people, right? No one talks about the criminality and the corruption when it comes to that, right? So the hypocrisy is pretty glaring. So Frank says they don't want you to be able to have legal firearms. Yeah, all of these politicians, they all have legal firearms. Joe Biden has them. Trump, Obama, Kamala, Bill Clinton, but all of them try to push gun control in some capacity. Even the conservatives who are supposed to be pro 2A, what like pro 2A legislation do they truly push and get behind? Now, there's some incremental wins here and there, but they never try to go and swing for the fences because they still want to try to have something to run on, something that can run on that never gets passed. So when something does pass and it's incremental, you cheer for it, or they take a right from you. Then if they restore the right, then it's like, oh, look, it was a victory. Like, how was it a victory? They should have never taken it from you in the first place. Like, is that truly a victory? That's another thing you don't like about Democrats. Well, there's a lot not to like about Democrats, but both parties are the same. They play good cop, bad cop, two cheeks on the same booty. Imagine it like the Undertaker versus The Rock. They're both beholding to whatever establishment that's writing the check. In that case, it would have been the WWF/WWE. You know, the Warriors and the Lakers. Yeah, they're both beholden to the NBA political and social apparatus. Right, both parties are beholden to the establishment. So that's the donors, plutocrats, kleptocrats, oligarchs, right? Whatever their agenda is, you know, and whatever the money and the lobbying efforts dictate, then that's what both parties are going to toe the line for in some capacity. All free people throughout history have been armed. Well, I push for people to be armed, you know, it's within your rights. So strap up. That's why the Bill of Rights, including the Second Amendment, are a permanent restriction on government powers, not a permission slip by the government. I concur that it's not a permission slip. However, based on the way, and this is where I got to get on the people who say, don't tread on my rights and over my cold, dead hands, right? Many of these people, they allow rights to be trampled as long as the targeted demographic is not them. Just even when you look at the whole Mulford Act, the Mulford Act was as bigoted as it gets. The reason they used to have open carry in California, but the Black Panthers legally went to the state capitol and they were brandishing weapons. They didn't break the law. All the people, why didn't you comply? They did comply. They went up. Now, I think, they may have overstepped, not because they were breaking the law with doing it, just because they over or underestimated how people, this is why they say the pen is mightier than the sword. They went up there with, the proverbial sword, but it actually was a firearm, right? They went up there with a firearm, but they got defeated by the pen, because the pen, with the stroke of a pen, said, nope, now California is no longer open carry. And it was a bunch of white people, not all, but many white people was like, yeah, that's right. Those niggers shouldn't be able to open carry. It's like, bro, now white people can't open carry. So you thought that you stuck it to the blacks, but it's like, it's what people say, shoot off your nose, bite off your nose, cut off your nose to spite your face, right? You're proud. Look, the blacks can't open carry no more. Like, you can't open carry. They infringed on your rights to stick it to the blacks. And because you hate blacks so much, you were okay with that, right? I am a free speech absolutist. Do you think I want to hear, non-black people go around calling us grotesque, disgusting slurs, epithets, and insults? No, but I'll champion and fight for their right to say it, right? Because they should be able to say it. Just like freedom of speech doesn't give you freedom of consequences. I do believe in consequences and punitive damages behind what they're saying. However, they should be able to say it, right? People should be able to open carry. People should be able to do the things that the Constitution permits, versus these people want to get in their feelings and say, hey, no, we're going to prohibit this based on how we demonize a particular racial and ethnic group. And the over my cold dead hands and don't tread on my rights. Many of those people champion their rights being trampled on, as long as the face on the chopping block is black people. But once you make it easy for them to infringe and just eradicate the rights of black people, you've already gave them precedence to do it to you. They have these cop cities and they're like, yeah, we need more cops. You think the cops are going to lock up all the blacks, but it's like they lock up a lot of white people too. You know what I mean? And they've already shown, okay, cool, they're going to use the robot dogs on the blacks. Cool. Yeah, they tested out on the blacks, and then it's more of y'all than us. It's very likely they're going to use it on you too. You didn't care because they stuck it to the blacks. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying this is your position specifically. I'm just saying there's a lot of these pro 2A MAGA morons and maniacs where they're just so pro 2A, but they're not doing anything to unify. Many of those people be like, why won't blacks fight for 2A? It's like, bro, you have a 2A gun club and there's no black people in there. And many of you guys are Confederates, MAGA bootlicking shills. Not saying you, I'm just speaking in general, because I don't know your background. Maybe this fits you, maybe it doesn't. But, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But what I'm just saying in general, what I've noticed based on my observation, many of the don't tread on my rights, the pro 2A people, many of them are anti-black, which is why you never see them doing collaborations with black people or having, when they have a militia group, right? Why the militia groups always are race-based, right? They'll rather have a Russian, Bolivian, Bosnian, Albanian immigrant that identifies as white rather than some foundational black American freedman. And these same people will talk about, why do you gotta make it about race? I'm America first. They're America first until they see somebody with the same skin pigment. All you got to do is look at when Floyd Mayweather, a foundational black American, fought a white Irish dude, Conor McGregor. Most of the white people out here was rooting for the white dude, the white foreign immigrant. Okay. That's how people are with this whole "don't tread on my rights" militia stuff. You know what I mean? Why is there a white militia? Why isn't there an American militia that represents what America looks like? Nah, they got Patriot Front, Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, all of them acting like victims. Whites are victims. We need to protect our rights. And then it's like you make it easy for your rights to get infringed upon because you let the government trample on the rights of black people. When they do it to black people, that's all they got to do. All they have to do is target black people because they know that you MAGA morons, you won't stand up and fight. This the same thing that they did with the Mofer Act. California was open carry. They said, look at those scary blacks. We gonna take open carry. Did the whites protest and said, hell no, you can't over my cold dead hands. Don't tread on my rights. No, they said, take the rights away from those niggers. Okay, sure. No problem, bucko. And guess what? They took them from the blacks and they took them from you too. How pathetic and moronic could you be? Let me pull up and play the final parts of this video. I'm going to just run it straight back.
66 and Dairy Road. Police say the man had tried to steal several vehicles by force before trying this one. He was taken to a hospital and pronounced dead. Fox 4's David Sintendry has more from the investigation. David.
Well, a majority of family members were inside that vehicle as the carjacker tried to take off with it. The father of that family shot and killed the suspect, and it was all captured on video.
You could definitely tell that he was not in his right state of mind.
Surveillance video shows a man attacking and trying to carjack a family of 8 in Garland Sunday afternoon before the father shoots and kills him.
I'm just glad that the man was able to protect himself and his family.
Tatiana Starks manages Garland Smoke and Vape in a shopping center near Highway 66 and Dairy Road.
We heard a loud crash.
Garland Police Department says the carjacker initially crashed into 2 other vehicles.
While we were responding to the scene, we received more information that the driver of that car had exited and immediately began physically trying to get into other vehicles in that parking lot.
Starks says she saw the man breaking into several vehicles at a gas station, so she took cell phone footage.
He tried to get in several different cars.
She stopped recording as the man began walking across the street toward her. Did he make direct eye contact with you?
Yes, he was walking very intentionally.
The family of 8 unaware of what was happening and what was about to happen.
He ended up going into their car.
Video shows the carjacker in the peach shirt confronting the father in the white shirt. The father struggles with the suspect, who's trying to drive off with the family's car, with family members inside, including a baby. After nearly a minute of struggle, the carjacker, who's in the driver's seat, is shot by the father, who's outside the car near the passenger side door.
It seemed to be self-defense.
Police do not expect to file charges against the father.
It kind of all really happened really fast.
Starks, a witness to everything, just grateful we're talking about a story in which no victims were hurt.
It's just a blessing that the kids and the family walked away with no injuries.
So Garland Police Department is still working to identify that suspect who...
So I had read to you before, they already identified the suspect. His name, I believe, is Jose Ramirez, and he was a 30-year-old person. And it's unfortunate it didn't have to come to this, but the guy had to protect his family. He had 8 family members with him. I mean, that's a high adrenaline situation. You don't have to just fear for your life based on the castle doctrine and standing your ground in the states that adopt this law. You have is fear for your life and or imminent bodily harm. So if someone is going to carjack you and he was already fighting for a minute, that's an imminent threat. That's imminent bodily harm, but not just bodily harm to you, bodily harm to helpless, defenseless women and children. So it's unfortunate that, Mr. Ramirez, got fatally wounded, but, I was going to say next time, but there will be a next time, but people can just learn for this. But I also want people to learn. This is why it has on the banner, no lacking, Protect yourself at all times. You have the right to bear arms. And when people think of arms, they only think of firearms. A knife is a arms. Arms is referring to the level of weaponry and artillery you're using to defend yourself, right? And just look up the state laws in your area. You know, you may be able to have a pocket knife, but, you know, you can't have a butterfly knife, or you can have a pocket knife, but it can't exceed 5 inches, some 7 inches, or you can have a straight, what's called a fixed blade, but, you know, some have no limit. So just look it up. So you're within your legal right to carry some sort of arms, not because you want to relive or reenact a scene on Boys in the Hood or Menace to Society, but you want to protect yourself. Many people say that they want to live long, prosperous lives. Well, there are going to be people who want to prevent that, or people who want to harm you. You do have a civic duty, I would think, or at least a moral duty to protect yourself and others. Many people are not physically able to protect themselves, and that's why you're supposed to have an equalizer. Now, they only talk about here, hey, women, you need this. No, men need that. Most violence is done by men, committed by men committing violence on other men. But men will commit violence on women, and they will commit violence on children. No one should be committing violence on each other in a perfect utopia, but that's not what we live in. So if it is going to come to fisticuffs and violence does ensue, you want to be able to protect yourself with a certain, you want to be able to protect yourself with a certain level of legality. So protect yourself legally by knowing what the law is, but you also want to protect yourself with a certain level of lethality. Now, that lethality doesn't have to lead to a fatality, but it does need to be lethal enough to cause some sort of deterrence. Otherwise, people see it as easy pickings, you know what I mean? And you have to be prepared for that. So no lacking. So I'm going to get into this other video. And you said great content. Hey, I appreciate that, Big O. You said I'm learning. I'm here to learn as well, but I'm also here to teach. And you said, agreed. They only care when it affects them, unfortunately. And that's why we have no allies, because groups don't have allies. They have interests. And sometimes people, because they may be swimming in some cooch or, getting their booty ate by somebody from a different ethnic or racial background, they think that, no, we have allies. No, you have an ally. You know what I mean? Collectively, we don't have allies. I'm not talking about an individual. When you have an individual ally, once you start asking that individual about what their family's views are or their partner's views, then you see that collectively we have no allies. Should we have allies? Yes, I'm all for unions and allyships, but most of the times it's pie in the sky, and there's oftentimes a hidden agenda. And you said, seem to be self-defense. Do not expect. See what I mean? Shout out to Sunlight. I wonder if the NRA has commented on this. And this is what I'm talking about. The don't tread on my rice over my cold dead hands. These people, they never want to comment on this stuff, because they say, why do you have to make it about race? No, this isn't a racial issue. This was a father. He happened to be attacked by another man, and this man defended his family. Why isn't it framed that way? They looked and see that it's a black person. They say, nothing to see here. This is the perfect case that the NRA could use, and then they could even do some condescending, disingenuous stuff, some gaslighting stuff, and pretend it's like, hey, look, we stood with the black community. Remember this? They didn't stand with Philando Castile, so we know they're not going to stand with this man here. Luckily, there were enough sane people. Actually, let me pull that back up so we can see some of the sane people in the comments. Give me one moment. Hold on. Let me pull this back up. I'm going to see what the comment says. So I think this gave me a little bit of hope. I'm gonna try to make it a bigger. You said they can't even fake it to help themselves. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That shows you the level of disdain. That would be an easy political victory for them. But at the same time, would it be a victory? Because many of their MAGA maniacs and just anti-black acolytes, they're not just only MAGA, right? They crave the red meat for the base, and the red meat is calling us low IQ sub-Saharan savages. We're monkeys, niggers, you know what I mean? Cold people, mud sharks, you know. That's what their red base is. Like I said, California, this is just the greatest indictment. California was open carry, to which all of these gun-toting nuts, they used to be able to carry their guns freely. The only reason why they weren't is because they got triggered because the Black Panthers legally went to the Capitol. In Reagan, right? They try to act like he's just a conservative and he's a Republican. Okay, cool. Republicans are for gun control. This is what they always whine about the liberals about. But it was a white Republican conservative who made it that you can't open carry in California. And it was race-based. It was racially targeted. Did they care? No, because they thought it was sticking it to the blacks. But it's like, bro, you're losing rights to stick it to the blacks. I don't care as long as those niggers don't get to have guns. It's like, okay. Like, bruh, do you really care about your rights or do you care about sticking it to the blacks? And many people, that's all they care about. That's why I think it was LBJ. He said, all you got to do is convince the lowest white man that he's better than the, highest colored man, highest black man, and he'll empty out his pockets for you. And that's what they do. They try to pretend as if Elon Musk has something in common with them, right? A poor dude in Appalachia thinks he's better than a poor dude in Baltimore, right? Why? Yeah, you're white and poor and snaggletooth, bro, and smell like piss and sulfur. But you think you're better than some dude because he grew up in Chirac. And you think that you have some sort of camaraderie with Elon Musk because you have the same skin pigment. Elon Musk wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. You have more in common. You from the hood, the poor white trailer park hood, and this dude is from the black hood. Y'all have more in common with each other, but you think that Elon Musk is what, you can live vicariously through him. Okay. Let's see some of these comments, though. Could y'all read it? If not, I'll read it to you. This person said their infant was still in the car. There was no room for negotiation. Dad acted with restraint, but also efficiency, respect. Hey, shout out to this person. Infant was in the car. So not only did the dude try to carjack him, he carjacked him with a little baby in that car. We don't know what this sick, deranged person was going to do. Was he going to touch that kid? Was he going to delete that kid? Was he going to sell that kid? I don't know. And like this comment says, there was no room for negotiation. Boom, bap, you're out of here, buddy. The father went out of his way to make sure the direction he was shooting, he was as safe as he could tell. A thoughtful man. Yeah, salute to him, right? Not only did he discharge the firearm safely, he made sure that his family was safe. He didn't shoot recklessly like a sideways, sidewinder gangster movie acting thing. No, he responsibly, he was trying to fight the dude off. Now, he did whip out the strap like, hey, bro, chill. I'm with my family. Back up. The dude still, even when he had the firearm, if someone sees that you pull out a firearm and they're still charging you and want to fight you, I mean, that seems pretty scary and seems dangerous because the firearm is not a deterrent. They're still coming forward rather than backing up. Now, if the dude pulled out his firearm, because that's how we do. Hey, look, bro, chill, bro. I got it on me, man. I got that thing on me, bro. You feel me? Chill, or I'm gonna blame you, bro. You gonna get hit. The situation gonna get sticky. You might get hit with the blicky. You feel me? If someone is still coming forward after all that, yeah, that's a scary situation. The heart start racing. I'm just saying, he had to protect himself. This person said, Dad not only saved his family, but many other innocent folks in the future. Great job, Dad. Yeah. So kind of a hero, bro. This deranged dude was on seemed like a warpath. He had already hit 2 cars, tried to jack 2 other cars. We don't know if other people were in those cars. I'm assuming they weren't because he couldn't get in there. He saw this dude. He tried him. Just saying. Potentially saved a lot more people than his family. I would concur. That's a real man protecting his family. Glad they are okay. And I know people, they don't want to make it about race, but then it's funny because they always talk about black dads being deadbeats. Here you have a dad with his family of 8. Not only is he providing for his family, he's protecting his family. We so unprotected. It's like, well, if you don't have a man and you don't have the right type of man, then of course you are going to be unprotected. But if you get a man that's solidified, a man that stands on business, you will forever be covered. The way the dude went around the car and fired on him from the passenger side as to not have any of his family members in the line of fire showed complete situational awareness. W for dad. I would concur. He tried his darndest to save the dude. Bro, when somebody pulled out the firearm, he didn't even pull it out and up it. He pulled it out and had it by his side. So you know he was telling bro, like, hey, bro, chill. Like, it doesn't have to go there. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. If somebody, chooses the hard way, he was obliged to pull the trigger. It just kind of is what it is. This is exactly what I like seeing. A dad stopping someone from stealing and hurting his family. We don't know what he was going to do with that kid or those kids. Remember, multiple kids are involved. No victims were hurt. Good job, dad. So as you can see, I'm proud to see that most of the comments agree with dad. This is why people say if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I don't want to see people, succumb to their injuries of being fatally wounded, but you have a right to protect yourself, and you have to protect yourself at all times because we never know what danger is going to creep around the corner. And you said, I doubt he will be getting a lot of press for his act of heroism. And that's why I'm covering this too, to say that, hey, you have to protect yourself at all times, but also to highlight that this man was he wasn't a deadbeat father. He was and is a dedicated father. And this is why fathers of all races, creeds, and ethnic backgrounds matter, but specifically talking about the foundational freedmen, the B1 brigade, right? Black fathers definitely matter, right? Not to say that some woman couldn't have fended off this person, but she shouldn't have to. She should be under the covering of a man. Many people live for that. And kind of like how I covered in one of my other segments, sometimes men feel that if they're not able to stand up for their family and provide for their family and protect their family, then what does their existence of a man or a male mean? So sometimes you do have to let people be able to be men. If a man is protecting you and willing to protect and crash out for you, don't try to jump. I'll fight that nigga. Like, man, we know that you're not scared. You're undermining his authority, his dominion, and his ability to keep you safe. If you would have stayed behind him, now you put yourself in the line of fire and gave this person an easy jab at you, an easy shot at you, when all you had to do was stay behind him. Now, there's going to be some times where he needs to get behind you, but that's what the perfect union makes. That's what the yin and yang makes. But in this situation, in this scenario, when he had to defend the honor and protect his family from imminent danger, you gotta let the bro cook. You know what I mean? You have to let his masculinity take over. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that femininity couldn't have prevailed in the day, but you know what? The divine feminine, you're not really there for that. Your purpose is not that. It will be out of alignment, especially when there's a man right there, ready, willing, and able to protect his family. So this was an act of heroism. And I'll have to say, I tip my hat to bro, and I'm proud of him. You said that clown in Texas was going from car to car like Grand Theft Audio video game. And shout out to Friend Zone Millionaire. Yeah, bro, thought it was a game. Yeah, you thought it was a game. Now it's game over. You thought it was a game. Now it's game over. You play stupid games and he won the prize. That prize means you got no more coins. Your life has expired. And we've been joined by Lady Quantum Love in building. Miss Quantum, where you been hiding at? Salute to you. Love to see you. Oh, and look, I didn't even see Mr. 350, the big block boat rider. Big rig slaps in building. So we gonna get into this thing. We gonna keep it going. Salute to y'all. This next one, it may ruffle some feathers, especially. So I'm gonna just give y'all a disclaimer. If you're a Democrat shield, this might be the time for you to bounce. If you are a Democrat shield, I'm giving y'all a disclaimer. This might be the time for you to bounce. Because bam, you see what I'm rocking. The Congressional Caucus is cooked. Should black people put on the capes to save them? What y'all think? Oh, and just so in case there's some random interruption, I just want to tell y'all this because my power has shut off earlier because there was some PG&E, and just in case there's ever any power outages in y'all's area, I think PG&E has an app. I'm talking about California. PG&E has an app and a website that will tell you, hey, look, yeah, the power's out at this address based on this. So apparently they said there were some wire arcing at an area nearby me. So it had took out my power earlier, but it literally was for like less than a minute and it came back on. So if some random stuff happened, I'll just hop on my phone and use that Wi-Fi and come back. I don't think it should happen. That was earlier in the day. It was good, but they did predict that my power would be out until like 7:38. But, you know, it's still going. So, you know, I'm rocking. So we gonna get into this, right? So y'all have heard about the Voting Rights Act being overturned and the Congressional Caucus is all in a tizzy. And I'm not saying I agree with the situation, but we've been yelling over and over. The country is anti-black. America is anti-black. And it doesn't mean every American is anti-black. What it means is that systemically anti-blackness has been entrenched in the fibers of the country. Sure, there's good people of every racial and ethnic background, but there's not enough people that want to overturn the system or upset the apple cart because they benefit as much as they're able to see the oppression, the subjugation, the racial targeting, etc. If they benefited in some type of way, then they're saying, well, it's not so bad, right? Or why are you complaining, right? They say don't complain, but if these things were happening to them, the first thing they would do was complain. They would be doing a lot more than complaining. But they've convinced you, hey, don't complain about anything. Then soon as any little thing happens to them, they complain. You got people, there's a legal term, it's called illegal alien. You can't call them that. No, human is illegal. Like, why are you complaining? You telling black people don't complain about being called a nigger because someone heard it in a rap song, but people should be allowed to complain about being called an illegal alien. That's never been a slur or a racial epithet, but now you can't say illegal alien, that's a slur. You can't say retard, that's a slur, but you can say nigger because you heard it in a rap song. If I make a rap song called Retarded Illegal Alien and it blows up, will it be okay to say it then? So all of these people, right, they want you to be all triggered over these words and stuff, don't play a victim, but all they do is play victims. But when it comes to the Congressional Caucus, they've been the main ones caping for every other group. It's called the Congressional Black Caucus. But when do they speak about black stuff? They literally cape for immigrants more than anyone. That's what it should be called. The Congressional People of Color Immigrant Caucus. They champion immigrants' rights over foundational Black Americans. There's more immigrants in there than foundational Black Americans. And it doesn't matter that you're an immigrant, but when those people get in there, all they cape for is more immigration for their people. If a Jamaican gets in and they talk about, hey, Jamaica, stand up, it's like, bro, what about the Black Americans? Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm Jamaican, so I want to get more Jamaicans over here. And we haven't even been opposed to that. But now you want to champion and say that we should crash out and vote blue no matter who to get nothing out of it, right? We should save the Congressional Black Caucus who's done nothing. All they are is Black in name only. I mean, here, it's representation. How is it representation when they've done nothing for you? All they talk about is relics in the past. Okay, fine. Love MLK, love Malcolm X, love Fred Hampton. What about the modern day versions of that? They have nothing to go on, so they just keep have to reach back to MLK. Okay, cool. I mean, that was a long time ago, right? 68. It's almost 2028, and they have nothing to run on. All they've convinced you is that somehow Oakland in the 90s was 47% Black. Now it's 17% Black, mainly because they've dropped a bunch of undocumented immigrants over there. How does that help the community, right? The Congressional Black Caucus has been championing this, and they've been trying to convince you that somehow this helps you, right? How does your neighborhood getting flooded by non-Black immigrants help the Black community, right? They'll tell you this: Black schools are failing. Okay, cool. How are you going to help the Black schools? By bringing in some non-English speaking students. And then we're going to give them resources to help them learn English. Well, actually, you know what? They don't really have to learn English because we've dropped a bunch of undocumented Hispanics. So most of them speak Spanish. So we'll bring in someone to teach them in Spanish. All of this stuff costs money. They'll have government programs. They give the money to NGOs, and then they say, hey, we didn't give them the money. Yeah, you paid an NGO to give them the money. I pulled it up multiple times on here. They allocate money that only immigrants could have access to. If you're a native, indigenous Black American, shut up, nigger, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But for immigrants, it's a bleeding heart. They say the same thing. What is seeking asylum? Seeking asylum is, okay, there were some gangs there. The gangs wanted to pressure you to get into a gang. This is just an example of asylum, right? The gangs want to pressure you into the gang. You have no place to go. So you run to the U.S. and seek asylum, and they say, you know what? If they don't go back, the gangs were going to kill them. Okay, that's sad, and I don't wish that on anyone else. Shout out to the Cornhusker. Shout out to the Hood Table in building. There's some hoods in Nebraska. Omaha, it can get ugly in Omaha. I can get ugly in Cleveland, Oakland, Philly, right? Where could we seek asylum to? You're a Black American. Your family members fought, bled, died for this country. Even you, many of us are veterans. Many of us have served this country in some capacity, right? You're told to get over it, right? But meanwhile, you're just supposed to let people from some foreign land come and leapfrog what you fought for and stop complaining. And then you stop complaining, but then all you hear about is people complaining. I'm supposed to get over being called a nigger and a slave, but somebody can't get over being told, go back to your country. I don't go around telling people to go back to their country, but I'm just saying, what is worse? Nobody was getting lynched saying, go back to your country. People were getting lynched being called nigger, though. So they've convinced you that someone saying the Kung flu is worse than being called a nigger, right? Nobody was getting lynched. Most of the crime, and then when you look it up, this so-called Asian hate, it was just a big gaslight. Most of the crime committed against Asians was by white people. Then they played some random Black people. We don't even know if they was FBA. Many of them were other melanated immigrants, and they're like, Black people are attacking Asians. That year they passed that they called it the C-19 hate crime bill, but they denounced Asian hate 14 times. They didn't mention nobody else. They made it a all lives matter and then specifically mentioned Asian hate 14 times, which made it an Asian hate bill. Not only that, they allocated millions of dollars for them. That same, not millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Don't take my word for it. Look it up, right? And then when they did that, guess who was the leading hate crime victim that year? You guessed it, Black Americans. So, and then how they framed the Asian hate, they said they were hate incidents. Like, hold on, I thought you said they were hate crimes. Many of them were incidents. So if somebody said you have the Kung flu, that's considered a hate incident. If somebody said, why are you here? Go back to China. That was considered a hate incident. But if somebody called somebody a nigger and bash them over the side with a bat, that's not a hate crime. It's just, well, he did have mental health issues. You know what I mean? So actually he can't stand trial. So like this brother is saying, hold on, let me get to this. The Asian hate was a psyop. Yes, a psyop that they were all too willing to be complicit with. Not all, but many of them. And I'm going around to say all this stuff. The Congressional Black Caucus supported all of this stuff. They supported all of this stuff. So what are we fighting to save them for? All they care about is themselves. And that's fine, right? That's why I always talk about a dog eat dog world, right? But where does that leave you? In a perpetual state of competition, in a perpetual state of fighting for every crumb, but backbiting, backstabbing, side bussing. I mean, do you want to live in a dog eat dog world? Many people do. They want to live in a dog eat dog world and then complain about the effects of said ideology. Like, what do you think is going to happen when you cultivate a environment where everyone is competing? It's not love thy neighbor. My neighbor is a dog and I'm a dog. It's dog eat dog world, right? It's not a why isn't the saying dog love dog world, right? that don't get a lot of traction, but dog eat dog world, that, you know, that's a prominent colloquial statement. And happy Mother's Eve to any mothers in here. Yeah, salute to all the mothers, you know. I want to give a huge shout out to all the mothers. The Hood Table too, continue to be a great mother. And anybody else that's in here that is a mother, salute to y'all. You know, y'all definitely make society go around. You know, you don't really get enough credit for all that y'all do. Now, I also want to say this excludes the deadbeats. When people talk about deadbeat, they only focus on deadbeat dads. There's a lot of deadbeat parents in general. So it's not exclusive to a specific gender or sex. So this is excluding the deadbeat mommies, but for all of the mommies that are actually out there standing on business for their family, for their community, because you're raising these kids to be productive citizens in society, I have to tip my hat to that. And that's extremely commendable, because being a parent is, you know, one of the toughest jobs, if not the toughest job to do in society. And this actually will be a great segue. I have a segment that I'm going to be doing called Parental Guidance, where I get the opinions of people that are parenting, people that are mentoring, raising kids, people that just have an experience in working with kids, because many times people try to parent their kids based on how they were raised, right? So some people whoop their kids. They don't know why they're whooping their kids. Well, I got whooped, so I'm going to whoop my kid. And I'm not saying that I'm for or against whoopings. I got whooped and I think I turned out fine. However, I do think there are better alternatives to whooping your kids. There may be a situation, circumstance, and scenario that calls for corporal punishment. However, there may be a way to avoid it entirely or to deliver the same impact of corporal punishment without a physical whooping. Shout out to my bro, Big Red, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he whoops his son. I'm sure his son has cut up. I'm sure his son has done some things that he disliked, but did you have to whoop your son to get the message, or whoop your daughter? We all grown up getting whooped by our mamas, our daddies, our grandmamas, big mamas and stuff. But did it hurt or help us? So, you know, those are some of the topics I want to address for my parental guidance segment. So any parents in the chat that want to join, you know, you have an open invite. But lastly, you know, I do want to thank the mothers for all y'all do for society. Appreciate y'all and love y'all sincerely. And Friend Zone says politicians are used to their lifestyle and positions of power. They're removed from contemporary experiences. Yeah. And that's why this what the Congressional Black Caucus is. They've been accustomed to being showered with these lavish gifts by these lobbying groups. They don't care about the community. All they care about is their seat, or, basically which corporate shill, which plutocrat butt that they can kiss the most so that they can get the most for their pockets, for their bank account, for their progeny, so that they can raise a kid to do the same thing. But now many in the younger generation, the millennial generation and beyond, are saying, hold on, wait a darn minute. If we can't all be equally comfortable, then we'll all be equally uncomfortable, right? We can't try to talk about meritocracy and then we see privilege and preferential treatment for specific racial and ethnic groups, right? Don't whine and say there's no such thing as a free lunch and no such thing as a handout, but then you give handouts, goodies, giveaways, and guarantees to people while at the same time saying there's no such thing as that. Why y'all big in the government? And then you look at all of these oligarchs. What's the thing that they always doing? Begging the government. They tell you that they want smaller government. They don't want smaller government to give them smaller checks, but they do want smaller governments on the regulations. They want to loosen the regulations to screw you over. They don't want to have looser regulations so it helps you, right? They say we want smaller government so that their AI centers can pollute neighborhoods without backlash. Then when they pollute the neighborhood, then they say, we did it legally. You know what I mean? Yeah, we poisoned Flint water, but it was legal. You know what I mean? Those gangs in South America were created by the CIA, culprits Ronald Reagan and Oliver North. And this is what I'm saying. Ronald Reagan was a scumbag. Not only did he strip away your rights, all these MAGA morons, because Ronald Reagan was the one. Trump got Make America Great Again from Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan got it from someone else, right? But many, not all, but many of the MAGA morons and maniacs, they love to talk about the open borders and all this other stuff and mass amnesty. Guess who gave mass amnesty? Ronald Reagan. They're against reparations. Guess who gave reparations to Japanese people, right? So we against reparations. Why y'all biggin'? And then they love Ronald Reagan. They don't just butt kiss. They crack lick about how great Ronald Reagan was. They're vehemently against reparations. No, you're not. You were okay with reparations. You just didn't want it to give it to foundational Black Americans. Ronald Reagan, who's supposed to be a bastion of conservatism, he gave reparations to Japanese people. Ronald Reagan, don't tread on my rights. He's the one who took your gun rights away. Ronald Reagan. All the stuff y'all whining about, it was a Lily W. person who looked like you. You blaming all the Black people, but it's somebody that looks like you that's stripping your power and taking your rights away. And you still talking about George Floyd and BLM. But, you said you hands off at the household. Salute to Big Rig. I respect that, right? Because Big Rig, I know you was a little bad little problem child. You feel me? I'm sure you got spanked here and there, and I know Big Rig, he's raising a very handsome, honorable young man. If you raising him the right way, if you teach him, okay, look, he's not going to be a perfect kid. He's going to cut up. He's going to do something that annoys the mess out of you. And that's where you got to be to steer him. And look, man, son, already been where you was, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And if I do punish you, you got to let them know why you punish them. You don't just come in, hey, I'm going to just punish you and just whoop your ass just for the sake of whooping your ass because you need to listen to me and respect my authority like Cartman. Like, you always got to explain the why. Son, you going to be punished. And this ain't because I hate you. This is why you can't be doing that. And I'm not raising a little boy. I'm not raising a fairy. I'm raising a young, respectable man. So you got to treat him as such. And your son, your daughter, your child has to comport themselves as such, right? Doesn't mean they're going to be perfect. Doesn't mean they ain't going to get on your nerves. Don't mean they ain't going to talk back. They ain't going to try to sneak out the house. They ain't going to get bad grades. It just means that, you kind of got to adjust your parenting. There's no true parenting manual, right? So just what I'm trying to do with the parental guidance, while Riggs say he hands off, some people are hands on. You know what I mean? So it will be an interesting dynamic, but I support more Riggs hands off ideology. I do think there are ways that you can impactfully punish your kids, and not just, I said, for the sake of punishment and spite. I'm talking about punishment for progression. You know what I mean? To let you know that there's consequences to your action, right? If you tell your kid to, no company allowed when you're gone, and then you come back to the home and your kid has thrown, this Project X party, there has to be some consequences. There has to be some punishment. Now, I don't mean you need to strangle your kid or spank your kid. There should be some level of discipline enacted, unless you don't want your kid to, give a damn about what you're speaking about as a parent. But yeah, like Rick said, keep it respectful. Friend Zone says the USA has no vested interest in real institutional health for Black folks. The Red Summer of 1919, MAGA forefathers destroyed hundreds of Black neighborhoods. They were doing too good. Yeah, I concur. It's still up to us to fight and point out the hypocrisy. It's a multi-pronged approach. You know what I mean? You have to be building from the grassroots with mutual aid, pooling resources. However, you do need to be fighting towards institutional power and pointing out the institutional hypocrisy. Just because they have no vested interest, then we have to have a vested interest in pointing out the hypocrisy, because what they're trying to convince you is that this system is all fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's inherently anti-Black and discriminatory. So it's up to us to point that out. We can't allow them to try to say, hey, this is a white Christian nation. We are the pinnacle of morality, while at the same time doing a bunch of things that contradict many of the scriptures and the edicts and ideologies they claim to profess. But let's get into this video. So this is a video from Native Land Pod. I won't be able to get all the way through this because this is like a Democratic shield production, pretty much. All they do is talk about the Republicans is bad. Okay, the Republicans are bad, but they never talk about how bad the Democrats are. And then when they finally concede that the Democrats are bad, they hit you with the lesser of two evils talk. And Friend Zone says the system is office. They're the pinnacle of crazy. Yeah, crazy, cuckoo. And I think that's putting it mildly, but let's play and see what they talking about.
On the grounds of the Capitol on January 6th, he has promoted election conspiracies on his social media accounts. He talks about the election system being rigged. This is the person.
And Native Land, don't try to strike me. This is under fair use. I'm here to teach. I'm here to educate and enlighten. This video is about 17 minutes and 51 seconds. And don't worry, I'm not going to play even close to all that, because the Democrat shillery, it does make me rather nauseous.
Who is the named plaintiff in this decision that essentially dials our election rights, our voting rights back decades?
Well, now he's joined in that naming by 6 members of the United States Supreme Court. I like that you pointed out Calais' conspiracy theorist background, but by cementing now his name in history.
And he's an insurrectionist.
The co-conspirators must also be included and indicted right along with it, which is, in my mind's eye, there is nothing that separates Calais and John Roberts from one another,
course not.
As it relates to this
the
issue.
case is called Louisiana versus Calais, but I completely agree.
So look at this level of commentary. They're just more fear mongering and whiny. Oh my God, he's etched in history. What all of the bigoted anti-Blackness is etched in this country's history. Like, why is he acting like, oh my God, could you believe it? It's etched in history. Like, yes, this country is inherently anti-Black, and this is how they want you, just whining. Oh Lord, They gonna put us back in chains. Like, nigga, I never was in chains. My ancestors was in chains, and it ain't gonna go the way they think it's gonna go. Many of us is about death before dishonor. So if you try to put me back in chains, you essentially saying my life is over. My life has no meaning or no value to you, which that's what they say subtly anyways. But if you say it blatantly, then yeah, you know, Cats is gonna be with the activities. Cats is gonna be with the buffoonery. So if I'm gonna go out, I'm going out with a bang, 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 like John Witherspoon on Wayans Brothers. R.I.P. to the great.
Going to live. No disagreement is intended
Like
here.
Plessy versus Ferguson.
Simply to say,
you don't know what an AI work management platform is? Yikes. Here's 3 new AI-powered
that all of these people's hands are filthy with crud underneath it for what is going to be the legacy of what I said it last week. We ought to time date the stamp right now to how many.
Like I told y'all, bro, I don't know how much I can get through this. All of their heads, they have crud. Like you hear how he's talking, like he's trying to talk about the Supreme Court as if the Democrats don't have crud and mud and feces under their fingers. This is the nigga that's supposed to go up and get you all riled up to guess what? Vote blue no matter who. Why? Because the Republicans bad. Okay, cool. I agree. The Republicans is bad. They're disgusting. I ain't voting for them. But I ain't just giving my vote for the Democrats. So what they offer for me? Then here comes Roland Martin. Shut up, stupid fool. You don't know how politics work. Vote. Vote. Okay, cool. I'm willing to vote. What am I gonna get for it? Shut up. Vote. It's like, come on, bruh. Every other group gets a tangible laid out, even if they can't say, hey, look, we can't do this for you right now, but once you put us in office, we promise this. They don't promise you nothing. All they promise you is, hey, we promise to let you vote. Then it turns into no voting, no vucking, all sorts of stuff. But it's always about a vote. It's never about anything tangible. It's never about them giving you anything. It's always about you voting. Okay, cool. I'm willing to vote. But what am I going to get for the vote? Shut up and vote. That's all they have for you. Vote because the Republicans is bad. Okay, the Democrats is bad. So why should I vote for them? Then they'll have to concede that the Democrats are bad, but they're just the lesser of two evils, right? Imagine, you know, there's 2 pedos running for office. One dude touched 20 kids and one dude touched 19 kids, right? They're both running for office. Are you going to choose the lesser of 2 pedos? How stupid does that sound? Why is a pedo even an option? That's the same thing with evil. Why is evil even an option, right? So they convince you that it's the lesser of 2 evils. And if you don't choose evil, then somehow you're wrong. So if I don't choose evil, that's evil. But then if you do choose evil, that's good. Make it make sense. It doesn't. Democrat and Republican politicians went to the same prep schools, same colleges, fraternities, sororities, same country clubs, live in the same neighborhoods. They're friends. I've been saying this, good cop, bad cop. Do you really think Hunter Hearst Helmsley hates Triple H? Do you really think Stone Cold Steve Austin hates The Rock? Right? Do you really think any of these basketball players, it's a heated rivalry between LeBron James and Steph Curry? Do you think Steph Curry hates LeBron James because he beat him in the championship a couple times? No, they're friends. They're part of the same entity, the same establishment, different teams under the banner, under the apparatus of their same respected establishment. Nancy Pelosi doesn't hate Mitch McConnell. She'll get on CNN or MSNBC and try to have some political zinger. But no, they don't hate each other. You see Scott Jennings going on CNN, and then you hear Bakari Sellers. They're supposed to be on 2 opposite sides of the aisle, but they always remind you about how friends they are. Remember Bernie Sanders? Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden was ripping Bernie Sanders apart, and Biden kept saying, "Oh, my good friend Joe." Joe wouldn't even call him a friend. It was sounding hella desperate on Bernie's part. Well, Biden is a good friend of mine. Would you go around keep calling somebody a friend that's never called you a friend? Biden didn't call Bernie a friend, but Bernie kept going out of his way. Well, Joe is a good friend of mine. Okay. So if Bernie, which he didn't really want to win, you know what I mean? I thought he could have won, but he didn't really want to win. Let's just call it what it was, right? Bernie was unwilling to do what you needed to do. Politics is a blood sport, right? Bernie was unwilling to throw a meaningful punch at Biden. So then why would somebody vote for you then, right? And the same thing that the Democrats do. They'll say, we need a strong Republican Party. Okay, well, if we need a strong Republican Party, that means people need to vote for the Republicans. Okay, you said you want a strong Republican Party so we can reach across the other side of the aisle, right? This is what Democrats are saying. Okay, fine. So I encourage my family to vote Republican. Then they say, no, vote blue no matter who, huh? I thought you just said we needed a strong Republican Party. The only way you're going to have a strong Republican Party is if they have a strong Republican voter turnout. So they go back and forth and try to confuse you. And like Big O says, 2 wings on the same bird, 2 fangs on the same viper, 2 cheeks on the same booty. So shout out to Friend Zone Millionaire. I appreciate the commentary. But let's get back into this coonery and buffoonery of the Republicans bad, which they are. The Supreme Court bad, which it is. But then they won't say that the Democrats are bad. And the reason why the Republicans were able to overturn this is because the Democrats were so bad and so feckless at their job and so afraid to push the boundaries. You don't have to like what Trump is doing. Trump is showing you how you wield power. If they say you're the leader of the free world, you have to act like it. They're talking about, well, he's a dictator. Okay, well, whose fault is that? If in order to keep a dictator out of office, all you had to do was offer something and give it to your base, and you chose not to give it towards your base, you can't say, oh, you just didn't vote hard enough for me. No, you didn't campaign hard enough. You failed. Your campaign failed because you didn't convince the people. Now, you can blame the people for not voting, but I blame the people for not being convincing enough, right? So let's play a little bit more.
Black members and Congress say that all of these people's hands are filthy with crud underneath it. No disagreement is intended
like
here.
Plessy versus
Simply to say that all of these people's hands are filthy with crud underneath it for what is going to be the legacy of what I said it last week. We ought to time date the stamp right now to how many Black members in Congress, state legislators, county commission, city level seats across America, because I think it goes precipitously down.
Oh, it's
Yes.
Here we go again. Andrew, Bussy Wide Open Gillum. Bruh. Man, do I got to? Hey, Andrew, I gotta hit you.
What? How please?
Nigga, please.
How? Nigga, what? Nigga. Nigga, please.
Nigga, please.
What?
So here we have Andrew Goofy Gillum whining. Black representation is going down. Well, they're not truly representing us. They're representing themselves and saying, hey, I'm Black. Do you see me? I'm Black. That's not representation. Representation is what Ilhan Omar does for the Somalis. I don't really like Ilhan Omar, but I do respect the heck out of her. She represents for the Somali community. I don't like how she gaslights because she's been anti-Black. She's worked to undermine. Ilhan Omar is a tether because she's not because she has a Somali background, because she's worked to undermine Black Americans, but Americans in general. There was a leaked video of her saying that she was working in Minnesota to ensure that those congressional seats and, basically the power brokers of Minnesota are all Somali. It wasn't this we all black. It wasn't this we all African American. They're saying, no, we want Somalis representing Somalis, right? They didn't want a black American representing them. But then if you say, okay, that's perfectly fine, but I don't want a Somali representing me, somehow that's xenophobic. Them being bigoted towards black Americans because they try to pretend as if we're this just generic stateless Africans. No, we're foundational black Americans, right? It's not xenophobic when they have hatred towards us. But if you keep that same energy with them, suddenly you hate them. Make it make sense, right? Just because you have a black face in a high place, that's not representation. So if the Congressional Caucus has to go, then good riddance. Not just because, hey, I'm anti-black and I want representation that actually represents. I don't care if it was a blonde hair, blue-eyed dude and he was actually out there channeling his inner John Brown energy and fighting and actually passing, moving the needle and progressing forward legislation that's specific, then I would vote for the lily white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired person, right? Because what's been happening is, oh, look at this person. Y'all got the same skin pigment. Why won't you vote for them? What are they offering? Well, they have the same skin pigment as you. Why are you asking? Huh? Like, no, it ain't no, just like how they have vote blue no matter who, they have vote black no matter who. No, we're not doing the flat blackness no more. We call out the homegrown Sambos and raccoons, and we also call out the foreign and non-foundational tethers, right? We call them all out. So the days of, okay, oh, you look like me. Well, you don't really look like me with the hairline and the forehead and all this stuff. But, we have the same skin pigment, so I'll vote for you. Those days are over. You know what I mean? Maybe for some, older people that, want some diabetic medicine and some Medicaid, maybe they'll still be holding on to that. But millennials and below are saying, you know what? We can't just be blindly putting our hand in the sand to vote blue no matter who. What has it got them? And shout out to Red 6. Yeah, Andrew Drillum and the Bussy Hole Gillum. And this is who we supposed to take political advice from? Like why is dude even still around? Then you got Ellie Mastall, another MSNBC corporate shill. I don't know if he's on MSNBC. Let's just call him a mainstream corporate shill. So these are just the mainstream shill rejects who's supposed to lead black people, not to the promised land, but to the Democratic plantation. And then this is what the conservatives do too. Y'all need to get off the Democratic plantation. Okay, nigga, you're standing on a Republican plantation. So you're trying to tell somebody to leave one plantation to go to another one. Why y'all still on Candyland plantation? Okay, but you want someone to go to the Smithshire plantation. Like, it's still a plantation. Why aren't you talking about, hey, won't we both leave the plantations and go build something else? No, you're beholden to the plantation because you think it gives you sustenance. And if that's the case, just say that, because that's not what everyone believes. But stop trying to pretend as if, these people are independent thinkers. These people have a battery put in their back by think tanks, by anti-black bigots, but because they write a bigger check than any black person can write them, they want to pretend that you being a victim. Okay, all right. If we're being a victim, why would you care? Like, think about how pathetic this is. Let's just say that we do act like victims, right? Who sits around talking about people who act like victims all the time? Like, imagine you was making a documentary. Would you want to make a documentary about people who was winning and talked about winning all the time? Or people who had a defeated attitude and talked about victimhood all the time? But yet all they talk about, y'all act like victims and victims this. All y'all do is complain while you're complaining. How many times do I have to say it? You complaining about someone else complaining is complaining. All y'all do is complain. And your rebuttal is to complain about someone else complaining. All y'all do is cry. but you're crying about someone else crying? Huh? Make it make sense. You can't, because it doesn't. Let's get into it though. Ellie Mastal, this little kooky coon.
Last week, we ought to time date the stamp right now to how many black members in Congress, state legislators, county commission, city level seats across America, because I think it goes
And to reiterate one more again, I don't care about no black face in a high place. If you're not doing right by the community, then you need to lose your seat, right? It just is what it is, right? I mean, I don't want to have no white supremacy or anti-blackness in blackface. At least if you see a anti-black Latino or Asian, it's expected. I'm not expecting someone that looks like me, either from my lineage or Wi-Fi. Yeah, no, big O, my Wi-Fi had dropped down over here, so power outage. So my Wi-Fi is kind of intermittent. I was trying to rock out for as long as I could. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. But yeah, that's what it was. It was a technical difficulty. You said I'm back, but I'm in and out. Yeah, I think it's my Wi-Fi. So I'm gonna try to go a little bit longer. But if not, I'm gonna have to just stop and try to come back a little bit later. Yeah, because it's been there's been some power outages in the area. But hey, thanks y'all for rocking with me. But let me see if I can pull that video back up. I might try to. Okay, thanks, last call. I appreciate that. Hopefully I am good now. I can jump on my phone because my phone Wi-Fi is still good, but I can't really pull a video, so it will just be me chopping it with y'all. But maybe that was a cue. You know what? Okay, thanks. And salute to Friend Zone. And I think that was enough. I think it probably was. It wasn't just PG&E. It probably was this Ellie Mastal dude. It's funny. I tried to pull up dude and then suddenly it crashed. So if it crashed again, then y'all know it was because of him. So let me just play a little bit of this and then I'm going to transition to another story. But anyways, this video is on the Native Land Pod. It's called The Expedited Erasure of the Congressional Black Caucus. And like for me, I said, the Congressional Black Caucus is the Congressional Black Caucus. What have they done and what are they doing? When you hear them always talking about people of color, marginalized groups, all lives matter and things like that. And I'm not saying all lives don't matter. I'm not saying that there aren't other groups that are marginalized. But when they have a Congressional Hispanic Caucus, they don't mention anything black. They don't mention anything people of color. It's called the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. They have a congressional Asian caucus. All they focus on is Asian, 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 Jewish, 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 Jewish. But when it comes to the congressional Black caucus, we're supposed to focus on immigrants and the congressional Black caucus has fought harder for undocumented non-citizens than they ever have for foundational Black freedmen. And I'm talking about as it's presently constructed, not way back in history when they had some on-code people. So if they all lose their seats, then, good riddance. What were they doing in those seats, right? They should have already seen this coming. Many of them people like Kamala Harris, Obama, they were saying America's not a racist country. Now America's doing a bunch of racist stuff. Is systemically entrenched, right? The institutions are doing racist. Okay. So I'm back on here. Yeah, so what happened was my like I told y'all, my Wi-Fi is going out. So I'm about to cut the stream. I had to hop on my cell phone because I was waiting for the Wi-Fi to come back on, but it looks like it's looking ugly. So I'll just interact with y'all on the chat and then I'll shut this thing down. But like Red Six says, hold up. And forgive me, I'm on my phone, so it's not as easy to navigate as the computer. But I'm doing this because I'm on my phone's Wi-Fi right now. But Red Six says the CBC can rest in the P word that rhymes with piss. Well, they can rest in the word that rhymes with piss. They can, oops. Yeah, piss rhymes with piss because that's what they can rest in. They can rest in sugar, honey, iced tea. I don't give a flying fig Newton about the Congressional Black Caucus. What people want to frame it as, we all black. Okay, if we all black, why are they fighting harder for non-black, non-citizens than they are for foundational black American freedmen? So I'm cool. Like, what exactly are we losing? Like right now, if the Congressional Black Caucus loses, all they keep telling you is that you're going to lose representation, but they're not representing us. So what exactly will we be losing? You'll be losing a black face in a high space, but if they're not serving the interests of black people, how is that helpful? It's helpful because they framed it as, well, you get to see a black person, and as a black person, then that should inspire you to what? Inspire me to want to be like a sellout politician? No, that's not an inspiration. They want you to be inspired by Obama, right? You know, he gave hope that little black boys could be the president. Well, he gave hope that biracial Kenyans could be president. That's what he gave hope to. Like, other than that, no kid from the hood is looking up and saying, man, I can be Obama. They're not doing that, and many of them don't want to be. All they need is just some gainful employment, right? Not everyone needs to be a president or a politician, right? Especially considering they're politicians and are extremely engaged in the chicanery, the tricks, the corruption, the deceit, while also telling you about the Bible, right? Not only do they Bible thump, they like the constitutional thump. But if the Constitution was just this great infallible document, they wouldn't need all these amendments and to change all these other things. So clearly, you know, it's not the holy grail of equality when it comes to the Constitution. But yeah, as far as the CBC goes, forget the CBC. Ask any other group, right? Ask a Jewish person, like, hey, bro, if there was a Jewish person in Congress that wasn't standing up for Jewish people, that wasn't fighting to protect Israel, to save and coddle Israel, right? Would the collective Jewish community, with the ADL and all these other communities, would they get behind that Jewish politician? We know the answer. Hail to the no, 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 no. Ask Hispanics, right? Do they want a Hispanic person that's just a figurehead, that's a symbolic figure to say, hey, look, we have a Hispanic in office, but they don't do anything for Hispanics? And then they push it to foundational black Americans. Hey, you should be happy to have someone in office that looks like you. Okay, they look like me, but what are they going to do for me? Nothing, but they look like you. No, they don't. They got a different jawline, different nose, different hairline, different forehead, different texture of hair. Yeah, but they have the same skin pigment as you. So it goes from they look like you to they sound like you to they are you. And then once you debunk all that, then it's, oh, they have the same skin pigment as you. Well, Vivek Ramaswamy has the same skin pigment as some black people. Is he black? You know what I mean? There's a bunch of light-skinned black people that are lighter or darker than Steph Curry. You know what I mean? Are they black? Are they not black? So like, who and what are we even talking about? But when we narrow it down to foundational black American freedmen, we know exactly who we're talking about. And we know that the Congressional Black Caucus, the Democrat caucus, the POCs, the lefty lunatics, the liberals, the conservatives, the MAGA maniacs and morons, None of them are fighting for us collectively. Will you find an occasional individual ally in some of these groups? Sure. But collectively, no. Groups don't have allies, they only have interests. So all of these other groups will pretend and feign that we're in this allyship until it's time to have a seat at the table and cut the check. And then once they cut the check, they cut you out of it and tell you to stop complaining. Stop complaining about something they wouldn't tolerate and that they would complain about. You're just supposed to just take it. You know what I mean? This is what the politicians and the Congressional Black Caucus has conditioned you to accept. But hold on. But it looks like I'm going to go ahead and shut it down because, yeah, my Wi-Fi is tripping. So I might just scrap this stream entirely, or maybe I'll clip it up. But I do appreciate y'all for coming through. But, you know, it was a bummer that the Wi-Fi wasn't doing what it needed to do. So I'm going to just go ahead and shut it down. And if it's, if my power is doing a little bit better later, then I will come back. So I do appreciate y'all. So let me hit y'all with a couple of visuals before I get up out of here. Give me 1 second. And I do appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Hey. B-Eazy Dat Dude, shit so hot it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. I bring the pain like an aftermath of a car wreck. It's a lot of niggas that say they real, but to me that shit is far-fetched. Them cats is pussy. They really is on some feminine stuff. I ride up on them with the 40 ounces. The definition of adrenaline rush. What it do is sweet like cinnamon puffer. My niggas is rough like Willow Pass. Grew up out on Mary Mac, but I used to hang on Willow Pass. These birds that I roll with, outcasts and misfits. Better zip lips so you get hit when the fifth spit. Flat line of your Fitbit. Trap habits is black magic, no voodoo. Get the bands like Buku for the cocaine and go cuckoo. Most these niggas is foo-foo, so I'm shitting on them like doo-doo. I can't fuck with y'all like tofu. I'm just saying, man, like Goku. Bad bitches at the house with me watching Netflix or Roku. Fuck them both at the same time, and I swear to God it was so cool. Street legend, real boss, I call shots cause it's still saucy. I know some G's to the bike crack on shy racket and fly back out the mill. When they hear me flow, they say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up. When you hear me flow, say I be burning up, burning up. Cookie to the draw is what we burning up, burning up. What you ain't know, oh, we burning up, burning up. This shit so hot, it's burning up. Just go ahead and turn this up.
B-Eazy Dat Dude, boy, stop playing. You know you dat dude and been dat dude. Back in the day, he was that dude. Fast forward to today, he's still that dude. Yup, that dude. You can see as clear as day that he here to stay. Either get with the program or move out the way. Ooh. B-Eazy Dat Dude, he back with another one, another one, another one, another one. Be easy, tell me how it feel. Ooh, tell me how it feel. To be real, to be really that dude. Be easy, that dude. Ay, 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 that dude. Oh.
If you feel the vibe, like, share, and subscribe. We growing on this journey. Come and take a ride. If you wanna slide with that dude, be easy. We going all the way to the top, believe me. All the way to the top, believe me.
me. You really love me. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.